And last year, IDP camps in the Northeast recorded 78,000 newborn babies. This, among several other issues, formed the crux of my conversation with Mr. Antonio Kayandula in our interview this week. Mr. Antonio Kayandula, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Well, very quickly, give us an overview of the humanitarian situation in Nigeria, especially in the troubled Northeast.
Yes, indeed, you would divide the humanitarian community today into two major situations. And the big one, of course, is the situation in Northeast Nigeria, yes. Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe. In the past, of course, the crisis in Northeast was much wider, but now it's more limited to these three states where you have we are reaching more or less 1.8 million people with humanitarian assistance. And when I say we, I'm talking of all agencies, humanitarian agencies, UN, UNHCR, UNICEF, IOM, all these UN agencies, plus a number of national and international NGOs. That is the biggest humanitarian situation which we are dealing with now. We just launched a month ago a humanitarian response strategy, and we are also dealing currently with a 90-day response strategy, because in the meantime, you remember that Bagakawa was attacked, yes, a month ago, and populations have fled into Monguno and into Maiduguri. And we're talking here of more or less 78,000 new displaced people. And these people have already been displaced over the years, because as you remember, this is more or less the 10th year of this crisis in Northeast. The big problem in Northeast is that not only do you have displaced populations, but you also have two phenomena. One is that these displaced populations, from time to time, they are forced to displace again.
So how vulnerable are these IDPs in camps right now, or even how secure are they? Because we understand there are attacks here and there, and so many other vices that they always face. So tell us exactly the current situation.
They are secure in the sense that yes, indeed, you have a security system in place to make sure that there's no infiltration, etc. But that security also comes at a price of at a price of freedom of movement, because people in a camp, not necessarily the environment in which you want to stay in a camp and in a closed space, at the expense of their capacity to fend for themselves, because you need to be able to transact, do business, and get food to the family, etc. All of these things, these are costs of keeping people in a camp. The freedom of movement and the freedom to produce for the family, all of that. In that sense, I think UNHCR and other organizations are there to try and see, first of all, that yes, indeed, you need to manage security by controlling populations, but at the same time, that is done in a manner that is commensurate with the capacity of the people to express themselves economically, socially, and to interact.
As a matter of fact, when we hear cases of sexual abuse or even hoarding of relief materials, or so many other things that they have to face in such a situation, do you think enough has been done to curb this?
It is the problem that we have is that where we have access and where we are present, we have systems that deal with those issues in terms of preventing these issues from even occurring. And when they occur, to have systems that mitigate against the impact on the populations. And indeed, we have among humanitarian agencies a code of conduct that prevents us from being part of the problem, because sometimes you see situations where in trying to resolve the issue, you probably use people to convey assistance, but these people do not necessarily have the same code of conduct as we do have. So these are issues that we
How
we
widespread
have to deal
is
with.
this?
It's you wouldn't. It's difficult to say how widespread it is. What is easier to say is that where we are operating, we have systems that look at those issues, referral systems, preventive systems, and even access to justice for whoever, for the populations that might be affected by this situation.
So what kind of support is UNHCR offering in terms of shelter, livelihood, supporting these guys?
Those are actually the areas where UNHCR has the responsibility. We have actually three responsibilities. One responsibility for protection, i.e. all these issues to deal with accessing justice, issues to dealing with the protection of female members of the family, identification of, because some people do not have actually identification. We're working with the government to provide the basic identification, at least birth certification. And last year we managed to issue birth certificates with the government to 78,000 newborn babies.
Within the IDPs in Nigeria alone?
In the whole Northeast. It's not just in the camp.
78,000 newborn babies?
Yes, yes.
Within the year of?
2018. 2018.
That's huge.
It is. And then, of course, that is, then the second area is shelter, which is also a major need of these displaced populations. Unfortunately, we still with emergency shelters. Because at one point we needed to move also to a more permanent shelter. But while you are in a camp, you still need emergency shelter. Emergency shelter, we provide it together with IOM. We have that responsibility. And then livelihoods. Livelihoods, if I may, you have the states of Adamawa and Yobe that are less affected than Borno. And you had a lot of people returning from the IDP camps, but they return to almost nothing in their villages. They have no education infrastructure, the health infrastructure is very poor, etc., etc. So what we're doing, we're trying to look at these returns and see whether we can have livelihoods activities that anchor these populations into their return areas, so that at least they can start their life afresh. But the livelihoods we are also providing to the IDPs, because while you are idle there, you might as well learn a few skills, and also we might be able maybe to produce a few things for yourself. Unfortunately, it's a program that is very little funded. We are funding more the emergency issues than actually the livelihood.
Do you get a sense of being overwhelmed sometimes?
Oh yeah, we are. All of us are overwhelmed, absolutely overwhelmed. When you're talking of 1.9 people, that is not small population. But even when you go into a camp and you see maybe 20,000 people, and in a very small space, the type of being overwhelmed is that people do not have the space to do a small garden, to have a small chicken coop, and things like that. It also does overwhelm. Women cannot, you have women who do not know where their husbands are. And you start feeling, they don't know where they are alive, are they coming, they're not coming. All of that are protection issues that we are confronted with.
I must thank you very much, Mr. Antonio Kandula. Thank you for your time on Dateline.
Thank you very much indeed.
Well, thank you for your mails and tweets. As always, keep sending in your views and comments using the email address and Twitter handle on your screen. Also, be sure to share anything happening within your locality. Don't you forget, you can view the program on youtube.com facebook.com/channelsweb/videos. Thank you for watching this week. I'm Gloria Umezuke. See you again.